I just want to give some trigger warnings to preface this video. I'll be discussing topics of abortion, sexual assault. So if you don't feel very comfortable with either of those topics, please click away now. With that being said, never really, sometimes always. Very good film. It was a directorial, no, not directorial debut. It was directed by Eliza Hittman, and it stars Sydney Flanagan in the main role and Talia Ryder. For Sydney Flanagan, this was her debut role, and I thought she did very well. Powerhouse performance, right? Very subtle. The whole movie is, I think, it is very subtle. It doesn't have to like over communicate what it's saying, and I really like that. I like the way it's shot. I think the production value is great. I think it didn't make its budget, which was like $5 million, and the box office was like 800,000, which is a shame. But hopefully, it makes back on streaming residuals or something like that. But anyway, going back to this film. So the premise of the movie is basically her trying to get an abortion, and her state that she's trying to get it in, um, they basically misinform her by telling her that, oh, you're 10 weeks pregnant, but in reality she's actually like 18 weeks pregnant. And before they like, have her do an abortion, they play like a pro-life video. So it's very clearly like not an abortion friendly state. And obviously she couldn't come out to her family because her dad is very like misogynistic. Like it's very foreshadowed when he's like talking to his dog. He refers to her as like a as a slut. Sorry, as a slut. And so he's very demeaning towards women, like the girl's dad. So imagine that. So she couldn't go to her parents about this shit, and her cousin starts to notice, and they work at the same store, and she finds out, okay, like something's going on with her. She's pregnant. So they decide to travel together to New York, and unlike the procedure seems to be more complicated than what it actually is, right? Because she's in her second trimester, I believe, 18 weeks. So because of that, she has to go to another clinic that does that, and that complicates things. And then she has to go to the second clinic that I mentioned, and there's a scene which I think is very I think the best scene in the entire movie. It's just an uncut scene of Sydney Flanagan's character, the main character, and she's basically being asked a questionnaire of like, why is she getting an abortion? Is she really wanting to go through with the abortion? There's a scene on YouTube. I recommend y'all check it out. It's called yeah, it's the never rarely sometimes always questionnaire scene, and the full scene is there. That's what I'm talking about. That scene, wow, like just the way she's able to like show that vulnerability, and that like, you know she's been hiding it throughout the whole like entire movie, but like we can see that there is something very disturbing about how the pregnancy came to be. We don't know who did it. I don't think we're meant to know who did it. I think like there was a person who called um Sydney Flanagan's character a slut in the very beginning, but like I think it may like we're not meant to know who that is. It doesn't matter. Point is, she was raped. Um, so yeah, very heavy subject matter. It's a very heavy like subject matter movie. And abortions are in and of itself traumatic as fuck. I'm not going to speak on anyone who's had like any of that kind of experience. I've not experienced anything close to that, so I cannot speak on that. Anyway, going back to this movie. Um, and then they find out, her and her cousin find out that they don't have enough bus money to get back to the town back in, I think it was like in Pennsylvania, something like that. And so her cousin, um, decides to like make the ultimate sacrifice, and there's this like creepy guy that has like is obviously romantically interested in her, right? And she's been like giving like, I'm not really wanting to go through with this kind of thing. Like she's been very like, you can tell her nonverbal signals are like just not feeling him. And so she decides to make the ultimate sacrifice to um, go with this guy and have him kiss her, make out with her, even though she doesn't want it. She's just doing it for the money so they can get back to town. And it's supposed to be like a mirroring scene because um, prior to that scene, I believe, Sydney's doctor, the person who was like advising Sydney like about the abortion and stuff, was holding her hand throughout because she knows how like traumatic like the whole experience can be. And Sydney does the same with her cousin. She holds her hand, and I thought that was like a really like um I don't want to say beautiful. It was kind of like a haunting moment in terms of like the parallel. If you guys see the movie, you guys will know what I'm talking about. Either it was just a great movie. It can be slow at times, but I think it works for this movie. Um, some other movies that deal with like this abortion topic, Unpregnant. That's a good one. I saw it like maybe 2 years ago, so it's been a while. My memory's a bit hazy, but basically follows two friends. She needs to get an abortion, so she has to travel to another state. That's more like focused on the relation part of it. It's lighter in tone, I'd say, but still like having to grapple with that serious topic of abortion. Then you have L'Événement, or The Happening, and it stars Anna Maria Bartolomei. I probably butchered her name, I'm sorry. Um, Very good movie, I thought, because I think it's an adaptation of a book. Basically, the whole premise of that is she's trying to get an abortion in 1950s France. And 1950s France was historically known for outlawing abortion. I think it even did the death penalty for those who had an abortion. I don't get me. I might be wrong, but yeah, just basically arresting anyone who was involved in the act of abortions. And so you had to like do it like over the counter. No one would be able to help you. She can't like do it the mainstream way, so she has to like find someone else to do it. Very emotional movie. Then what's next? Waves. Okay, it's not really an abortion movie, Waves, but the plot point, one of the plot points is centered around like him, the main character, wanting his girlfriend to give up her baby, and she doesn't want to, and it leads to like a rift in the relationship, and it sets forward like the plot of the story. Very good movie. Check out, as I said, Waves, Unpregnant, L'Événement, or Happening. That's what it's called, Happening. And check out this movie too, Never, Rarely, Sometimes, Always. Just a very, very good film. I've been wanting to check it out, so I caught it on Prime. I finally saw it. I was like, oh, okay, might as well watch this. And yeah, like I knew it was going to be like a heavy kind of subject before I watched the movie, and I'm not like, I've seen heavy movies before, so but yeah, very good movie. Hats off to Eliza Hittman, Talia Ryder, Sydney Flanagan, great performance. Debut performance as well, which makes it all the more impressive. So it doesn't seem like she had like an actor's background. So very good. 10 out of 10, I'd say. All right, guys, check it out. Let me know what y'all think in the comments. All right, you have a nice day.